All right, so to use so Excel, generally speaking, is not designed to create histograms the way that we traditionally think of them. It's great at drawing bar graphs if you give it very specifically the heights for each of the bars, but there's actually no automated feature inside of Excel, despite it having been around now for almost 30 some years. So what I'm going to do is I need sort of a range of data to work with. So I'm going to type the following in this cell, say rand between, and this is just to create a bunch of numbers. I'll say rand between 11 and 99, and this is just going to generate a random number between 11 and 99. And so I have a kind of a slew of data. Let's do a 5 by 15. So I just copied that down to cell E15 to get me 75 values. So that's enough to sort of give us it's the right amount. So it would be annoying if we had to actually calculate it by hand. All right. So, and then now also to make my life easier so it doesn't keep changing on me, I'm going to go ahead and paste special and just keep the values that it's generated here. So I've got a slew of fake data to work with. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is the first thing I need is kind of to know what the minimum is. So the minimum from A to E is, and I'll use the formula text function so we can keep track of what I'm actually typing here. And the maximum is A to E, so 1198. Okay. So what I'm going to do to build my table, I'm essentially just going to build it with a class width of 10. I'll kind of start with that, a class width of 10. And so I'm going to start it. So my first lower class limit will be 10. All right, so I'm going from 10. So that means the next lower class limit, upper class limits. So the first lower class, so the next upper class limit would be 10 more than that. So I'll just add 10 to that value and then copy that down. Now, of course, I could just type this in. I don't need to use a formula to generate these, but again, all that's doing is just adding 10 to the value above it. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to calculate so the upper class limit would be 1 less than the start of the next class, or I'll just add 9 to this. Okay, so these are my upper class limits. So the range of values should be from 10 to 19, 20 to 29, 30 to 39, etc. Okay, so what I'm going to do first, so this is what Excel is good at doing. Excel is okay at making this calculation, but it's not so good at making the one that we desire, which is the GFDT, but it's good at creating a cumulative GFDT. So the cumulative GFDT, it says, if we use the function COUNTIF, and I'll have to walk through what's actually happening here, but let me type it out and then I'll explain what the process is. COUNTIF A through E, if we do COUNTIF A through E, and that's going to look at every value that we have in columns A through E. So we want to make sure there's nothing actually below this, but for now we're good. And the criteria is, so we're going to type double quotes, less than or equal to, and then we'll close the double quotes, ampersand, and then I'm just going to click here on cell H8, which has the value 19. Okay. All right, so let me walk through what this formula is actually doing. So I'll do the formula text function for this so we can actually see it. Okay. So what we've got is it's looking in cells A through E, and this is essentially building the formula that it's using for the criteria to see if there is, to see how many values fall in this range. So it's saying the less than or equal to, and then the ampersand is essentially, it's building this formula, and the ampersand is the way that it concatenates the two text strings. So it's taking the text string it sees in H8, which is the value 19, and it's concatenating it, joining it with that formula. So in the end, the criteria becomes less than or equal to 19. Now the advantage is when we copy this down, it's going to go ahead and build. So the AE keeps referring to the same columns when we copy it down, but the H8 updates to each row that it's been moved to. And this now builds us the cumulative GFDT. Okay. So to get these, so let me sort of respace these out so that it takes up the right amount of space. So now if we want the actual GFDT. So this is the what we would call the absolute GFDT, not the cumulative, but the actual count. The frequency, well, of course, there's nothing below 10. So if we're asking how many values in here are 19 or below, well, it's just going to be those 8 values that there are. So I'm just going to keep that value. But now for this value 20, this says that there are 20 values that are 29 or below, but that includes the 8 that are in this column here. So what we're going to do is we'll subtract those 2 values. So again, I'll do the formula text here so we can see what I actually entered in these. Oh, that's weird. I'm not sure what just happened. Let's try it again. Okay, so there's the formula text. And now if I copy this down, this will actually build my GFDT for me. Okay.